2:35 p.m. Frank and I left the office and went immediately to the county hospital where we were allowed to interview the narcotics suspect, Jocko Harris, briefly. He was in critical condition with a fracture of the skull. He gave us a statement in the form of a dying declaration. He admitted being the connection for 17-year-old Johnny Demring and admitted also that he kept the boy supplied with enough narcotics to keep the neighborhood teenage demand for the stuff fully satisfied.
Seemed like a good boy, Johnny. Nice kid. Smart. Never thought he'd turn away, that's all.
Where is he, Jocko? Do you know?
I only wish I did. Go beat his head in, get my stuff back. Took everything I had. One of the biggest hauls I ever handled. Every ounce.
What was it, heroin?
The best. Got only one word for you.
Yeah?
You better get him fast. He's got enough H to start a war.
Wednesday, April 30th, 9 a.m. The hunt for 17-year-old Johnny Demring was intensified. To our knowledge, because of the information we'd gained from narcotics peddler Jocko Harris, the teenage youngster had a large store of high-grade heroin, which we knew, because of his inexperience, he was unaccustomed to dealing with. In his hands, the narcotics immediately became a lethal weapon. We knew that Johnny Demring had only one market to deal in, only one type of customer he was acquainted with, the teenager. In previous transactions, we knew the youngsters received only a low-grade type of narcotic, highly diluted. We knew that if Demring succeeded in dispensing the highly concentrated store he had on hand, and the juvenile customers he served tried it on themselves, it would very likely result in death. 11 a.m., Wednesday. Despite all our efforts, Johnny Demring and the store of high-grade narcotics which he'd hijacked from Jocko Harris were still missing. Wednesday, 12 noon, we began rechecking every one of the possible sources that might lead us to the suspect. One of them was the boy's mother, a Mrs. Frances Demring. We talked to her at her work. She was employed as a multigraph operator in the mailing department of a large downtown department store.
Not since the last time you talked to me, officer. I haven't heard a word from my boy, nothing at all. Have you heard anything?
Well, yes, ma'am, in a way. We've got an ID still somewhere in the city. That's why we figured we'd come back and talk to you again.
Have you been in touch with your relatives in town recently, Miss Demring? I mean, those Johnny might possibly contact.
Yes, there's just my sister and my mother. They're the only ones I think Johnny'd go to in a case like this. Maybe because he's in trouble and all. I only wish I could have stopped the whole thing. I mean, even before it started. It should never have even started.
Yes, ma'am.
I guess it just wasn't to be right from the start. Johnny's father ran away, you know. I tried my best after that and never seemed to be enough. I suppose there's no getting away from it. A boy needs a father. You can try all you want. They still need a father, some kind of discipline.
Yes, ma'am. Well, how about the relatives you have out of town, Miss Demring? Any word from them at all about Johnny?
No, Sergeant, nothing. Matter of fact, I've been waiting for a letter. Nothing at all.
Do you have any idea at all where Johnny most likely go in town if he didn't want to be seen, Mrs. Demring?
Where he'd go? No, I wouldn't know that, Sergeant. First place, Johnny's never really been in trouble before. I mean, where he'd have to hide. He's always been good to me. Maybe too good. I wouldn't know that.
Now, how about Johnny's school friends, ma'am? Would there be any one of them he might possibly contact in a jam?
None that I haven't told you about before, I don't think. Evelyn. She's the only one I suppose Johnny'd go to if he needed help, if he was in trouble.
That's his girlfriend at the high school, Evelyn Maxford?
Yes, that's right. Sweet girl.
How about a girlfriend that Johnny was supposed to have downtown somewhere, Miss Demring? Would you know anything about her?
Nothing really, no. I knew Johnny had some other girl besides Evelyn. He did mention she lived downtown. Guess that's all I know about her. Her name was Betty, I think. Johnny mentioned it once. That's all I know about her, though.
You have no idea where she lived downtown?
No, I don't. Johnny and his girlfriends, that was one thing I tried not to pry into.
All right, ma'am. Thank you very much. Appreciate it if you'd notify us if you hear anything at all about your son.
All right, thank you. Tomorrow's Johnny's birthday, you know. I meant to tell you. I always expect Johnny home on his birthday. Seems no matter where he is, how he's tied up with his school or sports or something, Johnny always makes it home for his birthday.
I see.
Wonder how it'll be tomorrow. He's never missed being home on his birthday, not once.
Well, if he shows up, I guess you can count on one thing, ma'am.
What's that?
We might have to miss next year. 2 p.m. Frank and I picked up a glass of milk and a hot dog for lunch, and then we continued making a check of Johnny Demring's closest friends. Next in line after his mother was Demring's high school girlfriend, Evelyn Maxford. We located her at home. She seemed unusually nervous as we interviewed her.
No, there's nothing wrong. It's just all this business about Johnny. All this trouble. I've been upset ever since I heard about it.
You haven't heard from Johnny at all, Miss Maxford. He's made no attempt to contact you since the last time we talked.
I haven't heard a word, officer. I know tomorrow's his birthday. His mother's expecting him home. I know he won't come, though. I'm sure of that.
How are you sure, miss?
Well, I just know that's all. I guess he should give himself up and take his chances. But I know he won't. I know Johnny that well. He just isn't that type.
I'd like to ask you again, miss.
Yes?
Are you sure you haven't heard from Johnny Demring recently in the past 2 days or so?
No. That's what I told you. Don't you believe me?
Do you know why we're so anxious to locate Johnny, Miss Maxford?
Well, I think so. It's about the narcotics business. You say Johnny had a hand in it. He was selling those things to the kids. I still don't believe it myself.
It's a lot more than that the way it stands now, Miss Maxford.
What do you mean?
When he was at school, Johnny was kept supplied with narcotics by a man named Jocko Harris. He's what we call a pusher, a kind of an in-between supply man in the narcotics trade. 2 nights ago, Johnny caught up with Harris. He beat him up badly enough to send him to the hospital with a skull fracture. And then